Okie doke, welcome back. It's been almost a week or something, maybe even I don't know how long it's been, but we're back to game analysis. I still have 5 games to look over from the Canadian Scrabble Classic Early Bird 1 in Kingston, Ontario from the month of March 2022, which is when probably most of you are watching this video. Anyways, this is the game I played in round 4 against Jared Cappel. This is the first time meeting him in this tournament. We hadn't played over the board in many months, but he actually came to Montreal at some point in 2021, late 2021, and we played a few games. But other than that, Jared and I have been playing a ton of games online on Wiggles, and he's been getting really, really good. It's been getting very, very difficult to beat the guy. So yeah, always a good matchup. Anyways, I'm going to show you guys the score sheet for those that don't want any spoilers. Look away. All right, focus. There you go. That's the score sheet. All right, not even sure you can even see stuff unless you pause. Anywho, I also failed to mention in these videos what is above me, what is above the interface here, the games I haven't annotated. So I have pretty much all of my score sheets from 2013 onward, maybe even before then. And most of those score sheets are from Scrabble Club, but a lot of them are from tournaments. And I would sometimes get a bit backed up and not annotate games. I mean, right now it's 2 weeks after the event. It's more than 2 weeks after the event, almost 3 weeks, and I still haven't gotten done annotating. But yeah, all of those numbers, those are the amount of games that I have yet to look over or find even from my tournament history. And I have all of these score sheets in this case. It's actually the case that this keyboard belongs in. But before I get rid of all those papers and sort them out and get them ready to annotate, this keyboard's staying right next to me. I'm not transporting it anywhere. Anyways, okay, without further ado, let's get started. Um, Jared begins the game, so let's restart. And he plays Vum for 16. My rack here is ABDEEOS. I was looking for an L for Albedos. I didn't get one. And yeah, I saw basically the options here are pretty simple. You're hooking onto ovum pretty much. Doesn't work anymore. And the question is, do you want to play off OBE, OBA, or do you want to play off a couple more tiles for 5 more points? I don't think Dobe and Bode make any sense here. They're just too vowel heavy. They're not. They might do okay in a simulation, but that's not the sort of play that I would ever make because it just makes it too likely that I'm going to draw a rack that has too many vowels in it. I much prefer keeping the extra consonant, even if it means sacrificing a couple points. So yeah, I originally considered Obe, and then I'm like, yeah, I'm probably just going to play a Dobe or a Bode. And the difference between a Dobe and a Bode is sort of subtle, but a Bode takes a D as well as an S. And I don't have a D, I only have an S, so I'd rather play a Dobe and set up just the S. So that reduces Jared's ability to hook my word and score a decent amount. So let's give it a little simulation. I didn't consider Oba. I mean, it is an option. The difference between Oba and Obe is that the DEES leave is slightly worse on average than the ADES leave. However, once again with the hooks, OBE takes a Y hook, obey, and Oba does not. Oba only takes the S. So it's sort of similar to the Adobe versus Abode situation. However, the leave I think is just nominally worse and too much worse, I guess, too bad. The difference between the EEDS and the ADES leave is too large to make such a sacrifice for the fact that there are only 2 Ys in the bag that you want to prevent hooking. Anyways, I think, yeah, these are really close as I imagined, and I decided to play Adobe. Now, Jared makes a very interesting play here. He plays 7. This is an extremely defensive play. It's a really cool play geometrically and also strategically. He's basically closing as much as he can, and basically telling me it's your move, Josh. You're probably going to have to make a play that opens something that you don't necessarily want to open. I'm also trying to block bingos. He probably has another S as well with this play. So it's a really nice idea. And I like when people make number plays that don't that don't score the same as the number that they're saying. I think there was actually a prize in this tournament for highest scoring word that's a number. I mean, this is definitely not going to win the prize. I would say like someone's probably going to play 6 for a lot of points, for example. But anyways, thought that was really funny. Yeah, nice play by Jared, and it should have blocked basically all bingos because ovum doesn't take an S hook. But I actually still had a 9-letter word of proteases, which I had seen protease or protease before 7 came down, so it was only a matter of saying like, oh, well, he put his S there, so I can just pluralize my 8-letter word. So this wasn't a difficult find at all, as long as I was paying attention prior to the play. So I make the play, and he takes a very, very long time here, and then plays mesclun. And he told me after the game he was thinking about Culmen, Culmen, and Culmens. And I was like, but mesclun, like, why am I thinking of mesclun? That's probably a word, right? Why am I thinking about it? And he ended up playing it. So mesclun is a word I'm very familiar with, as I've worked in the food industry before. It's a mix of lettuce. And so I didn't hesitate at all when he made this play. But yeah, it's sometimes you just like, what's going on? Why am I thinking of this word? If you don't know the word, it's hard to pull the trigger, but he pulled the trigger. And culmen is a word. It doesn't take an S though. It's I'm pretty sure it's just culmen and culmina is the plural. And mesclun is the play here. It could be that culmens is a word. Well, let me know in the YouTube comments. I'll check it out. And that denied me my 7-letter word bingo of denying, and I didn't see anything else to do here in terms of a bingo. But let's see what I missed. Nothing. Okay. So yeah, I ended up playing dying. I can also play dingy or dingy. I decided I'd play dying because I have the N. So if I draw another I might hit the ing lane, which is pretty nice. This board is now very, very wide open, and it's going to take many turns for it to close back. But given how open the board is with this huge hook on mesclun, with this triple open, with all these things extending, there's nothing wrong with blowing it open even more and just saying, let's go. This is going to be a slugfest. And a slugfest it was. Pending is also an option, actually, honestly, if I really do want to keep things a bit more secure, because it takes care of the biggest scoring spot and leaves me a Y, so I'm going to probably be able to score next turn as well. And Ginny is an option because it keeps DEN, which is very nice, and I'll potentially be able to bingo through any of the tiles that are on the board, the L, the C, the T, the O, the R, the P. These are all tiles that work very well with the DEN leave, as well as potentially 7-letter words starting in a vowel. And I also get rid of the S hook for pretty much the rest of the game, even though there's only one S left. That's not a big concern, but long term it's potentially a concern. So that's the reason that Ginny is also a suggested play here. But I seize the opportunity. It's fun sometimes to play on these boards. I think playing Ginny is very reasonable as well. I don't think pending is so good, but I think Ginny is a very reasonable play that I might make on another day. Oops, I guess I made it today. But not actually. Okay, so dying comes down. Jaw is the response by Jared. And I actually draw into a 8-letter word here. which I was worried was going to get blocked, of Aurorian. If I don't see that play, my next options are really, really far back in terms of valuation, in terms of value. So this is a very important word to see. So I'm glad I saw it because I have a history of not seeing such plays. And yeah, the thing about the board as it is there are so many letters to play through and unique letters. Gienulc. There was a T, an O, and RP. Those are all unique letters, and every single one of those letters increases your chance of drawing an 8-letter word by a significant amount. So I'm actually curious to see the difference between, I didn't check this out, but between these two plays in terms of our next turn bingo chances. Yeah, so Ginny bingo's like 1 in 3. Okay, that's maybe a bit more than 1 in 3. And dying still bingos 30% of the time, even though I'm keeping 1 soul N on my rack, which is a bingo tile. But you rarely see this level of bingo chances so early in a game when you're keeping only 1 letter on your rack. But that just goes to show all of those floaters are really, really powerful. Anyway, still lucky to draw into Aurorian. That was like I said, around the 30% chance to draw into a bingo. This is obviously one of the worst bingos I could have drawn because it only scores 60 points, but it was still good to score 60. Yeah. Next, Jared plays Pox for 40, right? There was only, yeah, that was the only place to play it, which is surprising because that means he doesn't have a U for XU. That means he doesn't have an E probably for Prex. So I dodged a bullet there. He wasn't able to score more with his X. And yeah, here I drew pretty poorly, but I had one standout play of Gwynep. Likes Epigon. Epigon is okay. Rather not keep a U here. Uri is also an option, which I saw if he blocked the P, which I was expecting. I also saw Genome as an option. But I think Gwynep is probably the play. It's okay. It's okay to keep the 2 vowels here on this particular board. Wow, Uri does bingo a lot. There are still 7 eyes unseen from my perspective, so the likelihood of drawing an eye is very, very high. So if I want to go straight for a bingo, Uri is the play. But at this point, really on these boards, what you need to do is not sacrifice too much in the way of trying to bingo next turn, because bingos are just so likely to occur. If you draw a specific set of tiles with a word like Uri, that will lead you into a bingo. If you draw those same tiles and then you draw another tile after Gwynep, you're still pretty likely to bingo with those same tiles just because of how open the board is. So despite obviously there being an increase in bingo chances, significant, of 15%. If you look at these numbers here, 15% chance more of a bingo after Uri than Gwynep. I'm still bingoing 1 out of 4 times with an EO leave, which is really nice. And I'm scoring 30, and I am taking care of a potential huge spot. Obviously, I'm not super worried about triples through a P, but there are 2 blanks unseen. That is a possibility down the line. So yeah, I played Gwynep. And a very nice response by Jared. Flatline, it was actually here that he played it, wasn't he? No, he played it here, excuse me. Flatline 78, there you go. Let's see if he had anything better. Flatling, okay. Yeah, same letters in the same order, but you have to know the word flatling. Okay. Anyways, Flatline comes down. Jared takes a nice lead. And I draw some kind of awkward stuff, but I'm able to score pretty well. I saw Orzo. Did not. I think I saw Oozed. Maybe I didn't see Oozed. And then I saw Doozer here. And I was trying to compare it with Oozed, and I was like, oh wait, I could play Doozer in the same spot as Oozed. And I ended up playing Doozer. I'm not in a good position here because I'm keeping a lone V. I'm scoring 55, bringing myself within 13 points of Jared. But keeping the lone V is pretty much top three or bottom three worst possible one tile leaves in this game. So I definitely felt at a pretty severe disadvantage in this position. Um, However, when I hit the clock, Jared held my play, and I was like, "Oh wow! If he challenges Doozer, I might actually be in a commanding position, depending on what I draw. So that would be really nice if he challenges." Um, but because I was sure of the word. And Orzo, the reason Orzo is performing well despite scoring 13 points fewer is because of the leave. The VERD leave is actually not too bad. I can score with it. I can hit an over word specifically. I can draw a bingo elsewhere on the board as well. So it's possible that Orzo might be a slight improvement here just because it leaves better. But I felt this was a bit more natural, trying to maximize my score, a more human move, and trying to potentially go for that other blank, which is going to be really important here. But yeah, I could see the reason for Orzo for sure. All right, next, Jared blows the last S with Kraz, scoring 54 points. And yeah, I'm back at square one, but luckily I had one scoring option with my V, and that was Vilify. By far the best play here, and I'm still in it. I can still hit a bingo. I can still draw the blank, slash hit a bingo with the blank. And the HD leave can score as well and keep me within range. All right, next, Jared plays hitter. Again, just on these sorts of boards, it's very often not a good idea to sacrifice points in the name of defense because of how many spots are open on the board. So a play like hitter, despite being dangerous and despite potentially leading to some really bad scenarios where I potentially being on the triple and Jared can never come back from that, is probably the right idea. I don't know what he had. But yeah, he goes ahead and plays hitter, which I was hoping he wouldn't do. I was hoping he would like make a tamer play than that. And to my HT, I draw KEFA blank. And this was the pivotal position in the game where I saw a decent amount of options. I'm actually now spotting Kenaf, but I don't think that's a good play here. But I had a decent amount of options here. I could play Dak here. That's what I saw. I could play Kaf here. And what else did I see? I think I considered faked for a little bit. And yeah, this was a really difficult decision. Let's actually see if there's anything I missed. Oh yeah, faked here as well. Keda. I wonder if I saw Keda. It's very interesting that F blank has a 3.3 higher valuation than EF blank. That isn't like realistic in this position because I have the last E, but I really was, that's surprising to me that like generally speaking, Quackle is telling me that EF blank is significantly worse than F blank as a leave. Anyways, yeah, I have the last E, so I really think I need to keep the E here. The E is an incredibly good bingo tile. Oh, Flak is an interesting option. Flak is actually a really cool option. Well, I'm glad that this happened because Flak is not something I considered. Flak takes an E, but I have the last E, right? So Flak allows me not only to bingo some decent amount of the time, but also I can score huge with Flake. And Jared would have to play something like Agio to block, which I guess isn't out of the ordinary. Okay, let's try this again. Come on, Quackle. Ended up playing calf in this position. Also, welcome back if I edited the video. I don't know if I edited the video. I might have trimmed it a bit. But yeah, Flak is, wow. scores 4 fewer than calf, but it's a lot of poison to this idea. Just setting up huge scores here. Yeah, so for example, so what I was thinking here is that I can't draw the Q. If I draw the Q, I'm probably in huge trouble. So I wanna hope that Jared has the Q, and if he has the Q, that's gonna slow him down a decent amount of the time. However, he could have something like um, a Quag or something at 1H. That would be devastating for me. Yeah, I think Flak is great. So let me look at the numbers here. Our next turn after Flak, we're scoring 60 on average. Yep, and we're bingoing a little bit less than after Calf. But actually, the main good thing about Flak is that it's not just next turn that I'm threatening huge things. It's the turn after and potentially even the turn after, depending how long the game takes. So yeah, I think this might have been a really good idea that I missed. It does sort of interfere with my N and G and also this A lane. So I can see why it bingos slightly less. But yeah, I am down 56, but with the blank in hand, I have a lot of potential to set myself up. And that's the thing. So what I was thinking most in this position is, okay, I am sort of interfering with this N, but if I don't draw into a bingo next turn, I can set myself up. If I draw an A, I can just play Aura, and that sets up my D for Orad. If I have a blank L, it also sets that up. I have lots of setup potential, specifically along the O column, that the engine isn't actually going to think about. So despite the value that it's showing of Flak, because it sets me up immediately and doesn't sacrifice much, setups that seem to sacrifice a lot of equity, points, and leave value are not going to be considered by the engine long term. And that's why I could play something like Fork right now. And what that would do is set up a humongous spot for Forks or Forky. The reason I don't think this is correct in this position is because of the score difference. Fork would actually allow Jared to outscore me in certain situations where he just leaves this alone, maximizes his score. Maybe I can't hit it and I bingo, and then he just is able to score enough to withstand my bingo. But just something like that is going to be possible long term in this game. Well, long term, maybe next turn. So that's what I was thinking between the difference, with the difference between Doc and Kaf. The difference that I saw between Doc and Kaf was that if I play Doc, okay, I'm getting rid of this G, this U, and this big triple spot that Jared's going to want to block and might have to sacrifice a little bit to block. So because of that, the idea behind Doc is not necessarily for me to bingo, but it's to be able to just score really well. And the same things apply. After Doc, I can set myself up a bit less well, mind you, than after Koff, because if I draw the A, I will no longer have the D to play Orad with the setup like Aura. And also, Jared can potentially try and deal with parts of the board here and maybe not sacrifice too many points, and that will make it my life very difficult to try and outscore slash bingo, because then he can actually try and block any setup I make potentially. But I thought I was in a very interesting position and decent position. I thought my winning chances were pretty good, and I'm really open to thoughts on which play you would have chosen here. I didn't speak about faked or Keda or fake. I didn't consider these plays. Fork I didn't even put in. I was mainly considering Kaf and Doc, but Flak I definitely think is a very interesting option as well. So I played Kaf, and this was what I expected. QI comes down for 26. And here I did not see a bingo. And I started getting a bit worried. Oh no, okay. I also messed up the names. I can fix that. Anyways, I can fix that. This is the scuffed return of this series on YouTube, but I can fix that in the text file. Um, any case, I didn't see a bingo here. I am Jared Cappel apparently, and yeah, there is no bingo. So I decided to play Zag. Let me save this. And the idea behind Zag, I first saw Org for 4. I was like, oh, I was setting myself on the triple both ways. That was the idea that I had last move. But Zag is actually better than Org because despite the extra score I get for the triple both ways, Zag already scores 13, so I'm getting 13 points plus whatever triple play I get. So if I play Org, I'm actually only getting 12 extra points for hooking it. And Zag already scores 17 points, so the math is heavily in favor of this Zag setup. Um, and I'm also creating a lot more room for me to put the S in second, third, in third position, and in fourth position. Whereas with Org, the S has to be in first or second position. Also, I can make the blank a Y, but that's like never happening. Hag is the idea. I don't think that's very good. Huh. So yeah, to think about here is really thinking about in terms of how likely I am to bingo, I think. The problem with Hag is it blocks lanes. The problem with Ugg is it also blocks lanes. So after each of these plays, Jared, well, actually Hag is a lot better than Ugg, I think, because it leaves these lanes open. It leaves the G slightly open as well. But Jared's going to have to try and block. But the idea I had behind Zag was that I do bingo with a few draws that I saw. I think I bingo with the A, the T. I don't quite remember at this point, but I saw that I was bingoing with a decent amount of stuff. It's too bad that he played QI though, because I would bingo with like Haunted if he hadn't played QI here. I would have a really nice spot for HAUNTED and ID. But I was expecting that to go away with my play of calf, although it does have value in maintaining this lane. Anyways, so much to think about here. This made sense. This is the play that I saw that made the most sense and made it the most difficult for Jared to respond. But the problem is I'm not really threatening anything along this line that bingos that I saw. So because of that, if Jared does intend on blocking this part of the board, he might win a decent amount of the time depending on what he plays. So anyways, it's possible that playing Hag is the right call here because it does bingo with so many things. Bingos from the G, bingos from the U, bingos through this G. But it's also possible that Quackle might be overlooking something. However, what I do know is what Jared's rack was here. And he missed this play of Oration, which is fantastic for him. He wants to block this area. He saw that rotation didn't fit, but he did tell me he missed Oration as a possibility, which I think would have won him the game. I'm pretty sure, actually. Instead, he played Tolar, which looks okay, but the problem with IoT and drawing into 2 tiles is he's not threatening very many outplays. What he needs to do here, despite being ahead, he's Joshua Sokol here, by the way, despite being ahead 30 points, what he needs to do is leave himself with potential to go out next turn, which is why playing Oration or even Ratoon is a much better idea, because I'm not going to be able to outrun him with just a scoring play if he's able to go out next turn. So I'm very lucky he didn't spot these 2 6-letter plays. I drew this rack and did the math and saw that I was actually fine here if I just play Bushed, which is the best play. He had a few options to score 13 points, and this very key outplay of Menu and Den, which is kind of hard to spot, was what won me the game here. Anything else would have been a tie. So after he plays Coat or Lati, there's still a possibility that he's not losing the game, so long as I don't see this really cute spot for the end. But he saw it as well. So yeah, really great game here. It's 430 me, 424 Jared. Yeah, Sorry about the scuffness of the return of this series, but Quackle will sometimes do that, and I try to do things in one take, and hopefully it was still educational and fun to watch. And I'll see you guys next time.